Hi, everybody. Ryan here. Uh, when I was editing this episode, I found that there was kind of a few instances throughout the recording on Ben's side through his audio track that you can kind of hear me echoing a little bit. So I'm going to try and reduce it as much as possible in the edit, but not really sure how well I'm going to be able to do that. Hopefully, pretty okay. But at any rate, hopefully it doesn't take away too much from your enjoyment of the episode. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Welcome to
Hey.
Game Punks. My name is Ryan,
And I am Ben.
and it has been a week. For me, it has been a good week. I'm not sick anymore. As you can tell, I'm not as nasally as I was the last time we did an episode.
And my
What
stomach's
about
not
you?
killing me. So
Yeah,
that's good.
that's good. Tummy not hurt too much, back not hurt too much.
No. Well,
Good.
back always hurt a lot, but yeah.
That'll happen.
Yeah. When you get old, things just hurt forever.
That's true. Things just kind of hurt forever. I mean, my knee was killing me yesterday, but that's because it was raining.
Yeah.
I truly am a fucking old codger sometimes. My goddamn knees hurt when it rains. Like I'm freaking 80 years old and
That's
just
all right.
like need a walker.
In 20 years, it'll help you find the underground waterfall that has all the treasure in it.
In 20 years, my knees are just
It'll
not
be
gonna
so
work
sensitive
anymore.
to water, you'll have to move off of the island of Montreal.
Basically, it's the weird thing. Your body is sensitive to moisture. I think it's mostly sensitive to changes in like air pressure, which is why
Yeah.
when it's rainy it hurts.
Yeah,
or when
makes
it's too
sense.
cold or too hot, extreme temperatures tend to make it swell. Like I have 3 huge metal pins in my knee, right? So like it'll seize a little bit like in the
Yeah.
winter, like the metal will get cold and it will be really stiff, and then in the summer the metal expands because it's hot.
Yeah,
and
so
that
it's just
gets
like,
sore.
ow.
Yeah, so that sucks. But I have like 3 metal pins about the length of my index finger, keeping my knee together, and my bones have since healed. But in order to get the surgery to take the pins out, I would probably have a longer recovery time than it was to have them put in.
Yeah.
So I just figured leave them in there, and I'll just, if I ever need to travel, I'll just get a notice that says, "Hey, look, I have metal in my body, so if it beeps, sorry."
I am a cyborg.
I am now a cyborg. I have transcended my humanity. This is post-humanism. But yeah, I mean it's not been a big gaming week for me. I didn't play very many games, although I did kind of try to deep dive a little bit more into a game that I started playing a pretty long time ago. I think when it first came out on the Switch, I got it and I started playing it properly, and then I just kind of stopped at a certain point and never got back to it because so much other stuff came out afterwards. But I dove back a little bit into Final Fantasy IX. And Final Fantasy IX is, unsurprisingly, as I feel about most Final Fantasies, a pretty damn good game. It's different from some of the other games, especially from 7 and 8, which are, I guess, its closest contemporaries
Yeah.
in terms of when it came out. Like, this game came out in 1999, and it was kind of an intentional attempt on the part of the developers to kind of go back a little bit to some of the earlier Final Fantasy games, because 7 and 8 are pretty different from the older titles in that they're set in, modern-ish settings, or settings that are at least a little more industrialized, and in 8's case, though, pretty contemporary to at least the time it came out, in terms of like technology and like they have cars and stuff in the way that in a lot of the old games they didn't have big modern style cities with skyscrapers and European style architecture and stuff like
Yeah.
that. They had like castle towns and oasis towns, and they were kind of like Western fantasy, and the sci-fi elements were kind of subtle, and the sci-fi became more prevalent in 7 and 8, and the worlds became a little more industrialized, not a little less magical, but a little less fantastical.
Yeah.
And 9 really brings the series back to like Final Fantasy 4, 5, 3, 1, and 2, like in terms of the aesthetic they're going for. It's very Western fantasy, but like obviously with the lens of like the PS1's technology at the time, they can kind of make it a little more magic-y, a little more big than those other games could be, because you have the freedom of a 3D map and a 3D world. So there's like these very beautiful pre-rendered backgrounds for everything, kind of like 8 and 7 as well. But the pre-renders are just like these gorgeous tableaus, and the character design and the art style is a lot more similar to the older games in that the characters are kind of a little chibi-ish. When you into a battle, the models are actually the same as the models on the field, which is pretty cool. And just they're a little weirder. They're a little more creative. The characters are a little more childish looking. Like some of them have like real baby faces. And it's not just because a lot of them are children. Some of them are adults, and they still kind of have that baby-faced, kind of cutesy cartoon look to them. But it's an aesthetic I really appreciate. And as for the game, it's really, really good. It might have one of the most interesting stories of the series, because it attempts to synthesize all of these elements from the classic Final Fantasy games into like a one coherent narrative. Like, it takes the idea of these worlds being inhabited by different races, and characters have like pretty defined character classes that harken back to some of the earlier classes from the first couple of games, like Zidane, for instance, or Zidane, who's like the main character of the game, or one of the main characters, is like very clearly a thief. He fights with knives, he can steal, he has like the steal command. And Garnet is a summoner. She can use white and black
OP.
magic, and she can summon she can summon monsters. And summoners are kind of like in Final Fantasy IV, they're scarce, and unlike in Final Fantasy IV, they're actually like a separate race of creatures. And there's another summoner you get later on in the game called Aiko, who's also separate. Like the thing that differentiates them from humans is they look a little more cherubic, like they're a little more childish looking.
Yeah.
And they have horns that grow on their heads, and the horns are a reference to...
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah. The horns are a reference to this early thing in Final Fantasy III, where if you took the summoner job class, the character would kind of have this hat that looked like a horn sticking out of the top of their head. And same thing in Final Fantasy V, I believe, as well. They had that kind of horned-looking hat. So, yeah, there are summoners in the game, but the summoners are actually a separate race from humans. They just look vaguely humanoid. And they have, like, a special connection to the Eidolons that are summoned, kind of like the summoners in Final Fantasy IV, where they can communicate with the Eidolons directly, which is really cool. It's something that I think is really neat about the game, is giving it a little bit more lore like that. The world is very well developed. You start out on this continent that's got a bunch of different kind of kingdoms on it, and they're all at war with one another. So there's a lot of conflict and tension. Other characters in the game are really cool too. My party right now is consisting of Zidane, of Vivi, who is maybe the fan favorite character of the game. He's one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters, but he's a black mage, and he looks like the classic black mage from Final Fantasy 1, with the dark face with the yellow eyes under the big hat. Really cute. He's got such a cute little design, and he's like an innocent little kid character, and so he's just adorable. Like, he's such a precious little bean, and I love him. And he's pleasant. And he's a very powerful black mage. My other character currently is Freya Crescent, who is a anthropomorphic rat person from the kingdom of Burmecia. And she is really cool. I love her design. She's a big old rat lady. Very nice looking rat lady, and she's a dragoon. I'm not a furry,
but I love anthropomorphic characters in
in fantasy. Oh yeah,
it's so
I always appreciate it. And the Burmesians' designs in general are very cool. But yeah, she's a dragoon, so she's got her spear, and she's got a red kind of hat that has these draconic looking crests on them. But yeah, that's a cool little party to start out playing the game with, because you have some pretty early abilities as you start out. Like, you get a lot of really good magic with Vivi as he levels up. The battle system is really good. It's pretty much just an expansion of the active time battle system that they've pretty much had in place since Final Fantasy IV. But it gets elaborated on occasionally. But they've upped the party from 3 members to 4 this time around, kind of like in the classic games where you could have 4 people in your party, which is, I think, pretty nice, because as much as I like Final Fantasy 7 and 8, I feel like I was never incentivized to swap between party members, because once you get comfortable with like the three that you like, and because of how customizable they are due to the nature of it and Final Fantasy VIII's like junctioning system where you can just kind of build a character from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never felt like the need to explore the other characters beyond just kind of getting a feel for them to see which ones I wanted to use for the rest of the game. Until like the game obviously like takes them away from you and then you're forced to use the other character. Yeah, this time around it's very much like just classic Final Fantasy sort of thing. Every character has a specific class and they're all pretty useful. So you do feel like you're incentivized to swap between party members, and the game also shuffles them around a lot in the story. So you're forced to kind of learn early on in the game how everybody plays so that you can get comfortable having anybody in your party, which is something I really do like. And I like that, not that I think the character customization in 7 and 8 is bad. I think those are part of the reasons why those are two of the more popular games in the West, because they're very like, you can individualize these characters' abilities, like with the materia system in 7, with the junction system in 8. There's a lot of room for you to kind of make your own party that you maximize to the strength level that you want it at. Whereas, in 9, it's very much like a classic JRPG. Everybody has their role, and you can swap them out, and they all have their use, though, and it's fun. You can also have characters combine abilities, which is a neat addition. So there's a character in the game called Steiner, who's a big sword-swinging knight, and he's a big goofball. He's very stupid, and I like him. He's not a himbo, but like a big good boy who's just maybe a little too dense for his own good. And he's like very blindly loyal to like his queen, and he refuses to acknowledge that she's kind of a genocidal monster until it's like spelled out for him in plain letters. So yeah, he's kind of a dummy. But yeah, you can like combine his sword with Vivi and make Vivi cast like magic on it to give it elemental properties, which is really neat. So he basically becomes a spell fencer, and that's just a really neat kind of thing to be able to do with the character. I just like how these characters' abilities combine. That's just one example. But there are some other really cool characters in the game that you get later on. I haven't gotten them yet, but there's a character called Quina, who is a giant frog-looking thing, and they're a non-binary giant frog beast that is a blue mage, which means, they can copy abilities from the enemies that you fight and use them like magic, which is an ability that Quistis has in Final Fantasy VIII, and I think it's been something that they've had since like Final Fantasy V when they introduced the job class. There's another character in actually there's two characters in Final Fantasy VI that kind of have blue mage abilities, but one of them is Strago, who is like an actual blue mage, and then the other one is Gao, who's like a feral child who has these abilities that are kind of blue mage-ish, where he can like go into some monsters like den and learn their abilities, which is pretty cool. But so Quina is a blue mage. You get a character called Amarant, who's basically like a monk, and he's really, really fun. He's a big, punchy boy. He's got a great design. Really, really striking design. So I can't wait to get him into my party at some point. And like I said, Aiko's another summoner, and she's the one who's more like the accomplished summoner. Her abilities are different from Garnet's, which is really cool. And then Garnet is mostly your mage, white mage character who can use summoning magic as well. And you got a pretty balanced party throughout most of the game. It's very nice. So I really just have a pretty good impression of this game, and I can't wait to continue playing it. So far the story is great. Something I appreciate it does, actually, that none of the other Final Fantasies do, is there's this thing called I'm trying to remember what they're called. I think they're called like active time scenes or something. But the characters will branch off in the story.
Okay.
And basically you can play like a little skit with the other characters and see what they're doing while you're doing something else simultaneously. And then these events will kind of like coalesce with what your character was doing, and you get to see the whole context for everything. I think they're called active time events. That's what they're called. But it's a really, really neat way to kind of communicate a lot of world building and story, especially when you first enter into an area. Usually the party will branch off, and everybody will go explore their own little way. And so you get to watch what everybody else is doing as you do what you're doing. which is very cool. It's a neat way to communicate, kind of like.
It's a cool storytelling mechanic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just a good storytelling mechanic in an RPG, and I like it better than, say, like the talking head kind of skits in a Tales game, for instance, which I don't mind those, but they're kind of boring.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, they're just, you sit there and you're watching some heads bobble, saying some nonsense. Not as exciting as watching a character fully interact with something else. And there's a lot of moments in the game where they do this, and it gets really, really exciting and cool and fun. So, yeah, Final Fantasy IX, I've been having a good time with it so far. It's like a pretty awesome little RPG. I mean, it's not a little RPG, it's a pretty big RPG, but I love that the Switch is just like a great console to have RPGs on now.
Yeah.
Like, you have access to all the PS1 and PS2 Final Fantasy games that aren't 11, you know? And I'm really having a good time with just exploring all these games that I might have played a little bit somewhere. It's at a friend's house growing up, but I never really had the chance to fully play on my own. Which is, it's been a nice experience. So yeah, Final Fantasy IX is great. And also, I guess, another thing that I did this week, gearing up kind of for it, but I've been kind of watching a lot of late 80s, early 90s, like, comedies, like really goofy comedies. Because I don't know, I need a good laugh. It sucks. Everybody's sad. Quarantine sucks. COVID sucks. The world is on fire. I need to laugh a little bit.
Yeah. I think that is very fair.
I've been watching a lot of comedy, and so I started out by watching a bit of Pee-wee's Playhouse. Do really like Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's a fun show. It's I wrote this on Twitter a couple days ago, but it's punk rock television to me. Because it seems very intentionally designed to, like, piss off parents, which is really, really funny to me. It's got this very anarchic kind of energy. But yeah, the like, one element of that I would say is clearly there to make parents upset, which is why I love it, is that there's this thing called the secret word, and at the beginning of every episode...
and they just fucking scream.
Exactly. Yeah, they give you a secret word, you read the secret word, and then you all scream, and then every time throughout the episode that somebody says whatever the secret word is, everybody fucking screams. And in the show, everybody, like, laughs at us, like, secret word, of course we gotta scream.
Yeah.
But I can imagine, like, a parent sitting down, doing, like, work with their kid, watching this blasting out loud as, like, these characters yell, and I'm just like, oh my fucking god, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I love shit that's designed to irritate people, because I almost respect it for, I don't know, having the audacity to waste people's time or to frustrate others.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very punk rock TV to me. It's neat. I watched a great episode in which Pee Wee Herman and his companion Cowboy Curtis, played by Lawrence Fishburne, which is a bit of a trip. Freaking Morpheus himself. Or Furious from Boys in the Hood. Like, I know him for mostly his serious stuff, right? So seeing him play a silly cowboy man on this show for children is wonderful. But they just did, like, a real, like, cowboy kind of themed thing, and it was really, really funny. Like, Pee-wee taught Cowboy Curtis how to pogo at, like, a punk show, because he's like, the only dance I know how to do is a pogo. So he teaches him how to pogo, and then Cowboy Curtis, like, teaches him how to square dance, which is really, really cute. And I was like, this is, like, exactly made for me, because I love country music and I love punk music.
Yeah.
So that was really funny. I don't know. I had a good time watching that. But off of the back of that, I decided to introduce my friends to Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Because to me, more so than Pee-wee's Playhouse, because I didn't really grow up watching Pee-wee's Playhouse, I came to it a lot later as, like, a teenager. I actually did grow up watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Like, it's something that I watched when I was a kid and I thought was really funny and fun, and I kind of have it very internalized in me, like it's a movie that just is a part of me now. And it's really, really funny. It's kind of cool because it came out about a year before Pee-wee's Playhouse started, but, like, the Pee-wee Herman character that Paul Reubens plays developed as, like, a stand-up character that he would do, like, a show about,
and
like,
the bit became reality.
Exactly, and the bit, just kind of was, like, his thing. Like, and then he played the character in like, guest spots on talk shows and shit.
Yeah.
But then he made a movie with Tim Burton. It was Tim Burton's directorial debut. They made a movie called Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is about Pee-wee trying to get his bike back from somebody who has taken it from him. It was Francis, who's, like, his rival in the movie, this, like, shitty rich kid. But the movie is almost like a parody of Bicycle Thieves, which is, like, a really sad Italian realist movie about like a poor father and son whose like bicycle is stolen, and the bicycle is the only thing the father can use to get to work to pay the money to feed his family.
Yeah.
And so they have to go and find the bike and steal it back, but then he gets arrested for stealing it back. It's a really depressing movie. It's a good movie, but it's extremely sad. And yeah, so it's kind of like a weird parody of Bicycle Thieves. But it's just full of like nonsense set pieces and like these great comedic kind of like interludes and sketches that kind of don't go anywhere but are just really fun to watch. And it's just kind of a wacky road trip movie as he goes from like one comedy scenario to another comedy scenario. And I really, really do love it. So we watched that and we had a good time. And then I figured, hey, the new Bill and Ted movie is coming out.
Oh God, yeah.
And I personally have not watched a Bill and Ted movie since I was like a teenager.
Yeah, same.
I think the last time I watched Bill and Ted was maybe when I was like 16 or 17 years old.
They hold up so good.
So good. So yeah, I watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on the other night, I guess, with my friend who had never seen it, and with my partner who had never seen it, and they had a blast. We were laughing so hard because, I mean, the best part of the movie is that they're going back in time to get all these historical figures to help them write their history paper, right? And the historical figures kind of just goof around and get trapped in the mall. They leave them at the mall, and them
Napoleon,
in the mall
like,
is so consistently funny. Napoleon goes bowling and gets kicked out of the bowling alley, which is wonderful. Sigmund Freud gets called a geek by a bunch of girls that he's trying to pick up with, like, I think he's with Socrates and Billy the Kid.
Yeah,
and Billy the Kid and Socrates laugh when these girls call him a geek, because Freud walks over and he's just like, "You two seem to be in a fit of uncontrollable hysteria," which is really, really quite good. There's like a joke later on in the movie too, where like Bill's stepmother is like a really, really young girl who like was a senior in high school when he was a freshman.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
Right? And, so there's that scene. There's like that scene at the end where they're doing like their history presentation, and they have Freud like psychoanalyzing Ted, and tells him all about how, like, you know, Ted has become like a representation of everything his father doesn't want him to be, precisely because his father's projected so much of his own insecurities onto Ted. Yeah. And Ted's like, yeah, that makes sense. And then he gets off the bed and he's gonna do it to Bill, and Bill's like, no, it's cool, minor Oedipal complex. And I'm like, fuck. It was really good.
The movie's really good. The jokes hold up. They still stick.
Yeah. They're so funny.
The pacing is great. And the plot holes are even greater, honestly.
I love the bits in the movie where they'll be like, wait, so we'll just do this thing later so that we can have it now. We just have to remember to do it later. And I love that that's just like a thing. Like, it's such like this movie is not like Back to the Future where it tries to concoct like a very
tries to make time travel make sense.
Exactly, like a very like, for, you know, lack of a better term, like realistic depiction of time travel, or something like 12 Monkeys or like sense. Looper. Yeah. Like, no, this time travel, the rules of time travel in this are willy-nilly fun. It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't matter.
Don't
because
ask questions.
This movie
Shut
is
up.
Goofy. Yeah, exactly. Shut up and enjoy the movie. And I really like that. And there's a lot of great jokes because of that.
I love the chemistry that Bill and Ted have too, where they're like, they're the best friends, and even when they get pissed, like, I think there's a couple of times where he's hitting on his mom. He's like, "Shut up!"
Yeah, he's like, "Shut up, Ted." Yeah,
and then they're just like, "All right, so now what are we gonna do, dude?" And you're like, they get mad, and then they just brush it off.
Exactly.
Like, immediately. You're like,
it's such like a relatively like non-toxically masculine relationship, and it's really funny because there is like one scene in both movies where they call each other fag for like hugging each other, and I'm just like, I think they should get to reclaim it. Because this movie is bi as fuck, quite frankly.
It super is. Like, didn't they just put the princesses in there just to be like, they're not gay?
I'm pretty sure they kind of did. Yeah, just to like, not gay them.
If the princesses weren't there,
this movie would be super gay. It was so gay.
I mean, even that the princesses are there is kind of gay.
It is still pretty. I mean, even when they're there, I'm like, oh, this is like Bill and Ted by Himbo Kings.
It's a weird
like,
polycule.
So yeah, it's super funny. And then I really loved Excellent Adventure, and was like, oh, that was great. I can't wait to watch Bogus Journey.
The second one steps it up so good.
Exactly. It's like the best ever escalation of the premise of the original, because they just up the ante.
Makes it dumber.
Exactly. Well, we've made them travel through time. What could we possibly do to like
evil
up the ante? Oh, send them to fucking hell and turn them to ghosts. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
So they're murdered by their own evil robot twins right at the beginning of the movie, and spend most of the rest of the movie dead, trying to get themselves back to life by like going to hell and trying to convince the devil to bring them back, only for the devil to damn them to eternal punishment. And they go through like this corridor of infinite punishment.
Yeah.
And it's all these,
and it's inconveniently like small.
Yeah, it's really small. Like they're crouching down a little bit and the doors open up.
Ted just turns to Bill and it's like, hell sucks, dude.
Yeah. Oh, dude, hell sucks.
It's such a good gag.
I just love it. Well, my favorite gag in the whole movie, like my favorite line read is right when they die.
Oh, you cut out super hard.
Oh, sorry about that. My favorite line read is right when they die, they wake up like dead. They're all pale like ghosts. And then this Ingmar Bergman ass looking Grim Reaper with a fucking Swedish accent.
Oh my god, yeah, oh god.
Fucking Seventh Seal ass Grim Reaper.
His so strange.
He's so good.
It's unplaceable.
He comes up behind them with like the scythe, and they're just like, "Whoa, who's that? Dude, that's the Grim Reaper. Oh. How's it hanging, Death?" Like,
yeah, like what's
really
up?
Funny.
I really like.
Hey,
the scene
could you
where
bring us back to life? Like,
I like the scene where they're falling, and it's just like, ah! How long are we gonna be falling, dude? I don't know.
I don't know. It's a long fall, and then there's, you want to play 20 questions?
Yeah, sure. It's such a good scene.
And then they both immediately know what each other's answers are to the 20 questions too. And they to get brought back to life, they have to beat death in a game, like in the Seventh Seal. But they just play him in a bunch of board games like Battleship and Twister and shit like that.
Oh yeah. Aren't they like, oh God, what was it? They like con him into doing like one of their stupid fucking things.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Oh my god. Oh, it's anyway. Bill and Ted. All of those movies hold up. I can't wait to watch the new one. I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully after I'm done recording, that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, I will say Keanu Reeves has lost the vibe a little bit, so it's a little jarring.
Maybe just because he's so adult.
No,
now,
he's so zen now. He's so zen.
Maybe
like he can't really do the all right, dude. Like he has a bunch of line reads that just feel strange. It's still a really fun movie, but
okay.
It's Keanu's like performance. I just think he can't let loose like that anymore. You know, he's just
maybe.
But
I guess Alex Winter hasn't changed.
Oh, he carries it. He carries that fucking movie. His back probably hurts after that filming. Honestly.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'll let you watch it and we can talk about it next week. But
yeah, for sure, because I'm really excited to talk about it. I'm just excited to watch it. I love these movies. They're really funny.
They are very good.
Like they're pretty evergreen. Like. Once again, as somebody who's just like, I mean, needs a good laugh, they came at the right time for me.
It's because the jokes aren't really time locked all that much. I mean, besides
they're
like
not.
a couple
Despite
of the
fact that they're
references,
literal time travel movies.
Yeah, but like despite the music references that like might be lost on some people.
I don't know. I still love Faith No More.
yeah. I mean, and there's like, but I mean, like the Iron Maiden stuff, and like it's just a
Iron
little
Maiden.
like,
oh, sweet.
yeah.
Air guitar. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah.
But I mean, for like younger people, like
maybe people younger, people who aren't into alternative music or metal.
What's an Iron Maiden? Is that the A$AP Rocky album or something?
I feel like there are enough people our age or younger who listen to
but I keep being surprised. I keep being surprised by how many youngins are like.
I think it was my partner actually the other day. It was because he's just a little younger than me, not by much, just like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
But he was just like, "Who are the Smashing Pumpkins?" And I was like,
"Oh my."
I was like, "Are you fucking?"
I hate that feeling of just like, "Are you for real right now?"
I know. I thought he was joking, but he wasn't pulling my leg. He legit didn't really ever listen to the Smashing Pumpkins, which is like his music. Fair. His music taste isn't like. It's not like he wouldn't listen to them. It's just I guess he wouldn't know anything by them unless he heard it, and
Yeah.
I said explicitly who they were.
Yeah.
But like for me, who was like, oh shit, I bought a Smashing Pumpkins like greatest hits CD when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
It was a little surreal.
I learned how to play Rat in a Cage when I started playing guitar. Rat in a Cage. Jesus Christ. Bullet with Butterfly Wings. What the fuck?
Bullet with Butterfly Wings.
Jesus
Rat
Christ.
in a Cage.
Wow. Calm down, comment section. I corrected myself. Stop.
But exactly. Like that was a little surreal for me. So yeah, maybe the music references might hit a little different. But the fact that I was just like, holy shit, Primus is in Bogus Journey for like 2
Primus
seconds.
Is fucking, he's just right
and
there.
the guitar player from Faith No More is like right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. They have like a big Faith No More poster in their apartment too, which I saw and I was like, oh, I kind of want that.
Man, Faith No More is really good.
Fucking love Faith No More. They're like one of the best bands of all time, and like it's
I'm sorry. We live in a universe where Living Colour exists, but go off.
I mean, Faith No More and Living Colour are from the same scene.
Yeah, but Living Colour.
They're from like the
same.
Hard.
I know,
same,
but Living Colour
same like goes... LA alternative funk metal scene.
I know, but Living Colour just goes so hard.
But both are amazing. Yeah. I mean, I love Living Colour. I feel like Living Colour have 3 really good albums. Is my problem with them now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I feel like Faith No More have a pretty consistent run, but the fact that they have Vivid at all is like that's it.
But I mean, the fact that Living Colour has a Cult of Personality and like humanity
probably one of the greatest metal songs of all time.
Yeah, humanity still decided to try to make better music.
Yeah, it's funny that we tried.
It's brave, honestly.
Probably
there's a couple of good hits, but I don't know.
I feel like Cult of Personality alone kind of makes them legends.
That song comes on, and if you don't stand up at least. I
love the bravery of the singer to wear like a Day-Glo body glove in the video.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. I don't know. They're a really cool band. If you don't listen to a lot of like 90s alternative, like early 90s alternative metal, like a lot of the post glam pre post grunge kind of stuff, you should listen to some of that early alternative metal. Primus, Faith No More, Living Colour, early Red Hot Chili Peppers. All really, really good.
I can't
Red Hot Chili Peppers are like... It's funny to think that they were even in the same scene as some of those bands because they're sonically not that anymore. But
I can't believe Red Hot Chili Peppers got me to like one of their songs by putting it in the Power Rangers movie.
I like Red Hot Chili Peppers sometimes, but I feel like you don't need anything more than like a greatest hit CD and 2 other singles to be satisfied with them as a band.
Because if you have more than that, it's just the same album.
Exactly. They're a band that recycles themselves pretty incessantly.
Yeah.
But they're really technically proficient musicians, which is why they're fun to listen to.
Higher Ground is probably one of the best bassline openings to a song I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, and it's the fact that it's like they managed to do like a heavy metal Stevie Wonder cover is kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when you listen to the original Higher Ground, it has a really good bass line, but Flea puts that like that slap bass into there,
stank.
Like some real stanky funk.
Oh,
exactly,
it's so good.
It's really good, and of course they have Around the World, which is a song that I think fucks really hard.
Yeah, isn't Flea? Wasn't Flea actually in Back to the Future 3?
He is. He's in Back to the Future 2 and 3. Actually,
oh, 2 and 3.
He plays a character called Needles.
Yeah.
He's like the character that tried to goad Marty into racing him, and like in the future, in the bad future, at the beginning of Back to the Future 2, like Marty did a stupid thing and he raced Needles and he got in a car accident, and the car accident fucks him up and like ruins his guitar playing hand, so he can't become a musician. And I'm like, oh, that sucks that Flea made you not a musician.
Yeah.
Sucks that Flea fucked your life up.
Sucks that you couldn't steal black musician's song and play it for a bunch of high schoolers at their prom in the first one.
Damn, the optics on that scene are so different now.
Yeah, you're just like, oh.
I feel like it's because he just didn't know that it didn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Like, he thought it was probably contemporary, but he didn't realize that it was like a couple months before it came out.
Oh, man. Anyway.
Can't believe Chuck Berry retroactively stole his own song.
Jesus. See, that's why time fucking travel doesn't work.
Yeah, time travel's bullshit. I love Back to the Future. It is like my favorite movie, but
it's probably too much for you guys, but your kids are gonna love it, I promise. Shut up, Marty.
Shut the fuck up. You just stole Chuck Berry's music. That's so funny to me. But yeah, like I said, the optics on that are so bad now.
Yeah.
What did you do this week?
This week, did you hear about the new hotness? Because last week it was Fall Guys. Fall Guys is still pretty hot, actually. And they just actually had a update where they changed all the maps, so all my practice is gone out the fucking window, so I'm never going to get a fucking crown.
Oh, boy.
But...
What's the new hotness? I'm curious.
I played Among Us, which is basically Gaslight Your Friends, the game.
Okay, I've never heard of this. Please elaborate.
You haven't heard of this? Wow. All right. Good.
No,
good.
I haven't.
This is actually
finger on the pulse of gamer culture. Me.
It's a very fun game.
Okay.
You are on a ship. You can have up to. You need minimum 4, preferably 10, because that's when shenanigans get real fun.
Okay.
And there's tasks to do among the ship, and everyone has to complete their little tasks and make the bar go up, and that's how you win. Gimmick is you have between 1 and 3 imposters. 3's a little much, we found. So for like a group of 10, I suggest 2 imposters. That's when it gets really fun.
Okay.
Who are just trying to sabotage and kill everyone on the ship.
This sounds a bit like Werewolf if it was a video game.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Or like Secret Hitler, which
Hitler,
is a worse version of Werewolf.
Yeah, it's exactly that.
That's really interesting.
So
I
yeah,
like that.
you kill someone, and then you can like... I actually got away one time when I was the imposter. I killed 3 people before anyone found a body, and someone found one body, and then in the discussion, because like when a body is found, everyone meets at the table and is like... What the hell?
This is like one of those asymmetric multiplayer type games. Then.
Yeah. It literally looks like a Flash game, and it's $5. It's $5 on Steam. It's on phones.
$5 on Steam. Okay.
Yeah, it's on phones also.
Does it have crossplay?
Yeah, I think it does actually, because it's just a code that you put in, and then it's server based. So sometimes you have to mash the code, but it's like private
like a
lobbies.
Jackbox game, basically.
Sorta, yeah, and
Wow.
it's super fun, honestly. Like, again, you just murder your friends and then lie to your other friends who are still alive about everything. The way we've been playing is we play in Discord. Everyone's on voice chat, and then you mute while everyone's doing a thing, and when someone discovers a body, you unmute, and everyone's like, what the fuck? Who did
That's
it?
That's really good.
It's really good. And sometimes
I'm into this.
You get into weird situations where you're like, yeah, no, I was doing the garbage up in the cafeteria.
I was doing the garbage.
Yeah, no, there's like the garbage is actually a thing.
Okay.
That's it. You have like a bunch of tasks that you can use to get out of being caught, and it's really funny when you first start the game because you don't know the task or the positions of the ship. So if you're imposter early before you know anything about the game, you're kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, and they're like, it's pretty sus. I'm like, no, but for real, I don't know. But you were near the body. I was like, yeah, I don't know how to report the body. And killers can also jump in vents, and they're the only ones who can do that. So sometimes you'll hop out of a vent and someone will like run to the emergency meeting and be like, yo, you wanna explain why you just hopped out of a vent? And you're like, I didn't. I was in the corner, in the dark corner. You couldn't see me, and then you came, and then I was there, and they're like, Well, yeah, because you also have a line of sight, which is
okay
used as like the light will kind of, if you're around a corner, it'll cut off.
Is it like a 2D side scrolling looking thing, or is it 3D?
It's kind of top down ish.
Top down, okay.
Yeah. If you Google a picture of it right now, I'm sure you've seen some memes of it or something. I've been sharing a bunch on Twitter.
Among Us,
yeah.
Us.
The only downfall with the game is you need a...
Oh yeah, I have seen these little guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The only downside of the game is like you do need a sizable group to play.
Yeah. Okay. Which I mean,
playing
is
with
not
randoms,
always easy to find.
Yeah, playing with randoms, I'm not interested in because I want to do the voice chat thing where I can. Like,
no, you want to play this with your friends.
Yeah, I want to gaslight my friends. I want to lie to them.
This seems like a werewolf
upset.
type thing, or like a mix between werewolf, a Jackbox game, and maybe even something like a Newgrounds kind of alien hominid looking thing.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what it is, and it's great.
Sounds really fun.
I cannot recommend it enough. If you have at least 7, I think 7 and 10 are like the best ones.
Okay.
Below 7 seems like it would
10
just
sounds
be kind
10
of
sounds
like
like it would be really fun.
10 is the funniest shit, honestly.
That sounds quite good.
Especially when the round is over and people are just like, ha 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 ha, ha, I killed you all, or damn it, I was so close.
Okay.
But yeah, I think my greatest achievement was killing 3 people before the body was found, and then being like, "Oh man, like we don't have enough evidence on anyone. I think we should just skip vote." And then they skip voted, and I was like, I killed another person, and someone kind of saw me, and I was like, "No, but I was about to report them. You just showed up like as I was reporting them too." And like, all right, we're gonna skip vote again, but this is sus, and everyone was following me. So I just hopped in a vent, hopped out, and they all started running towards the emergency table, and I just killed one, and I was like, ah!
Oh my god, this sounds like you have such an opportunity to be a bastard.
It's the best, honestly.
That
I was
sounds really
actually
fun.
fucked over one time by my friend Connor because we've been friends for too long, and he heard a little like influx in my voice, and he's like, "It was Ben. Ben did it. He's lying. He's lying." I was like, "Fuck you, Connor. What the hell?"
I'm sorry, I think I just peaked the audio laughing so
Oh, it's okay. I peeked the audio too, but yeah, that shit was hilarious. Just straight up like, Ben's lying. It was him.
That's really,
I was
really
like,
funny.
No, what?
I feel like my friends would totally roast my ass on a game like that. Oh my god.
That's the best.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. Oh my god, Among Us. Okay, if I can download it from Steam, I might do that.
Yeah, no, we should do
Because
a
it
couple rounds.
looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, hopefully
and
I can.
It's
I'm
like pretty
yawning.
cheap. You'll be able to run it for sure.
Yeah, okay.
The
It doesn't
system-
seem like it doesn't seem like it would be too heavy for my shitty PC.
It literally takes 2 seconds to download.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to give that a look. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
cool.
could do a
Among
couple
Us.
rounds like sometime this week or something.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
streaming
that'd be like a good
tonight,
time.
but
Yeah, I'll see if I can get it loaded up, and if I can, I'll let you know. And yeah, we can play a little
Yeah.
bit. That sounds like a good time.
I have one more game I want to talk about.
Yes, I'm excited to hear you talk about this. So yes,
Yes.
what did you play? I imagine you played this with Anthony.
Yeah, I played this with Anthony on Super Legally. Actually,
Super Legally,
We got,
you had the
we got a
cartridge?
copy, and I plugged it right into my NES.
SNES,
No, it's a NES game, isn't it?
ActRaiser.
Yeah, the
It's a
first one.
SNES. SNES
Oh, really?
game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was emulated.
Super legal.
Super legal. But yeah, no, that game is amazing, and I'm
Yeah.
honestly shocked. We played it in we beat it in 2 sessions. We were
It's
using
a very early SNES game, I should remark,
Yeah,
which is why
okay.
it kind of looks a little primitive.
that. Okay, that makes sense.
But some things about that game are amazing. But yes, what was your experience playing ActRaiser? 'Cause
Everything
I have
about that game
words
is
for it.
amazing, except for
I agree.
The ending's a little underwhelming,
Well,
but I
that
mean,
is true.
the journey is amazing. So ActRaiser is a a god sim where you also have 2D side
So
scrolling.
it's like a 2D
like
side-scrolling action game mixed with a god sim. Yeah.
with a god sim, a pretty, like, to be fair, bare bones god sim, but a addictive one nonetheless. So usually what happens is, every time what happens is you enter the new town, which there are level caps for the town, so like you have to be a certain level, which means you need a
Yeah.
certain population, which means you need to have done a certain number of things in other towns. So you'll enter a town, and there'll be monster portals, which brings you as a little cherub over the town, shooting the monster portals while you develop your town. The goal is to build roads and buildings towards the monster summon points, so your
Yeah.
townspeople will destroy those. And once you've destroyed all the monster points in town, there is a final,
Kind of like a
final monster battle.
like a master monster.
Yeah, like a boss. Okay, there's a boss, essentially.
Yeah.
And you have to go kill it. And that's when it switches to the 2D side-scrolling action, which is very fun platforming. It's very fun combat. The bosses are really entertaining.
Oh yeah.
We were using save states just because it was an old game, and like at some point we were like, this is fucked. Like, some bosses are extremely hard, and other bosses it was like, oh
yeah.
really, that was the boss.
What do you think of the interstitial god sim parts of the game? Because a lot of people, like, I feel like it's a lot of people remember the game for its action sequences, but the bulk of the game is the God Sim.
The bulk of the game is the God Sim, and honestly, the God Sim is probably the funnest part of the game. I think
It is.
The pacing is honestly really good between God Sim and the 2D side-scrolling shit.
And some of the little storylines that happen during the God Sim are really like just affecting and well executed.
Yeah, they're super fun.
The one about the guy who invents like music, the music
Yeah,
story.
and you have to
I
take
almost
the
feel like I
music-
can't spoil it because it's so beautiful.
Yeah, and you have to take it to the other city to go help
Yeah.
the depressed people. And then
It's
like little
really-
Timmy who wants a sandwich, and he ran away from home because he wanted a fucking sandwich or some shit.
Here,
So you
God
have
will
to
come
grow
and give you the
wheat.
sandwich.
Yeah, God brings you a sandwich, and then Timmy gets lost in a volcano. And was it Timmy in the volcano? No, it was the.
it was the other
Timmy-
kid.
Timmy's lost in the castle afterwards, and you have to go save him. And then the townspeople are like, "Thank you." The only thing about the God Sim, and I mean this is all God Sims, I guess, but like you start with 2 people, and then it's just everyone's fucking, and they're all related, and you're like, gross.
That's that's how it is, I guess. But you know,
Yeah.
it's early civilization. They didn't have any other way.
Yeah, no. For sure.
Yeah, that game is really cool for a number of reasons. I mean, the gameplay, like we just said, is really cool.
The pacing is amazing. The
The
music
pacing is incredible.
limited
The-
but very strong.
The music I can only describe as untouchably good.
Untouchably good. It's
Actually, Nintendo Power once called Yuzo Koshiro, the guy who composed for it, the greatest game composer of the 16-bit era.
yeah, that
because
makes sense.
I don't know how much you know some of the other music he has done, but like he started off at Falcom, Nihon Falcom,
Okay.
doing early RPG, like PC RPGs from them, like Dragon Slayer and some of the East games. But then he did ActRaiser. Later on, for the Sega, he actually did Beyond Oasis, which, if you've never listened to the Beyond Oasis soundtrack for the Genesis, that is like a really amazing OST. It's quite good. He also did the 8-bit Sonic the Hedgehog soundtrack for the Sonic the Hedgehog port on the Master System and the Game Gear, which is really cool. He did Super Adventure Islands soundtrack as well, which is a very good soundtrack. But he does like a lot of RPGs and action games. He also did the soundtrack to what do you call it? Where is it? I just need to remember the name of the game here. Etrian Odyssey, those ones on the DS.
Oh, true.
That's him as well. Those games are. I really like Etrian Odyssey. One day we're going to do an episode on them on Touch Generation. But
I'll have to talk about the Persona Q games because those are just Etrian Odyssey.
Etrian Odyssey by Persona.
And
Yeah,
I haven't played Etrian Odyssey, so that'll be my contribution to that episode.
yeah. I mean, we could kind of combine them honestly because they're.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty. They go together very well.
And
They're
I don't
also
have-
both, they're both Atlas games, so there you go.
And I don't have much to say about Persona Q, so.
They're interesting games though. They're something worth seeing. But he
Yeah,
did some music for Shenmue. He
Ugh.
he did some music for Shenmue. He did the ActRaiser 2 soundtrack, which ActRaiser 2, in my opinion, kind of a bad game.
Yeah, no,
It's-
we started it after we beat ActRaiser 1, and I was like, nah, fuck
This sucks. It takes out the God Sim element,
Which
so it
is
sucks.
it's the best part. It's literally the best part.
Yeah. But yeah, this game was developed by Quintet, who are like a developer that did a lot of work for Enix.
And is it? Yeah, I was about to say it's Enix published.
Yeah, Enix published the game. It was developed by Quintet. Quintet are low-key one of the best RPG developers of all time. And a really sad thing about them is they kind of haven't made anything of note since
ActRaiser.
probably the Dreamcast. I'd say Shenmue was the last thing they worked on of any note. But for the Super Nintendo, they made ActRaiser. ActRaiser was their first game. And ActRaiser is pretty amazing, right? But their next game...
It's probably one of the best games ever made.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Their
like, I've never
It's
been...
really amazing.
It's been a long time since I've been gripped by the balls by a game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was...
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what is this? This looks weird. 5 minutes in, I was like, we played for like...
Well, the
God.
second you start and that Fillmore music
Yeah,
starts
yeah.
up...
And you're like,
the
all right.
and
And you're doing this, like...
that like hardcore prog rock organ
Yeah, and then there's the gameplay of like shooting the little monsters right after doing a fucking awesome 2D side-scrolling section.
And like, the beautiful music, like the
yeah, the Sky Palace music.
It's so beautiful. I honestly can't. I have nothing but praise for Quintet as a developer, because like, yeah, ActRaiser 2 not so good, but after ActRaiser they made Soul Blazer for the Super Nintendo, which is Soul Blazer is one of the best action RPGs of all time, and it has 2 amazing sequels. Illusion of Gaia, which is it has some of the best Mode 7 graphics of any SNES game. And then after Illusion of Gaia, they did a game called Robotrek, which is a pretty cool robot game, but it's kind of like a Pokemon clone. It's interesting. It's like Pokemon meets Final Fantasy, and it looks like Pokemon meets Final Fantasy, and it's about like you have robots and you upgrade them and you can interswap parts and stuff like that. Like, it's a really interesting kind of game. Maybe not a perfect game, but I think worthy of interest, of note. But their final game for the SNES is a game called Terranigma. And in my opinion, Terranigma is a top 5 game for that system. It's the best action RPG for the system. I think it is a better game than Secret of Mana. I think it's a better game than Secret of Evermore. I think it is, and then Trials of Mana as well. As far as action RPGs on the SNES go, there is no better game than Terranigma. And Terranigma kind of marries concepts from Illusion of Gaia and Soul Blazer with concepts from ActRaiser, because it is much like Illusion of Gaia and Soul Blazer, a top-down action RPG with top-down dungeon crawling, but like ActRaiser, there is a God Sim element to it.
Yes.
Where you have to repopulate. You basically start the game off underground, under the earth, and you break down these 5 towers that are sealing the exit from the underground to the overground. You go to the overground, and it is the real Earth, like our Earth. Travel it and clear out dungeons across each of the continents, and then like animals come back. Though, the fish come back. The wind begins to blow again. You revive the Earth from like a state of apocalypse. And, you bring people back. You start developing towns. Cultures evolve in different parts of the world. It is an amazing game, and it just so happens to be an action RPG, a really great top-down action RPG at the same time. It's one of the best games for the console, but the saddest thing is, it never came out in North America. It only came out in Europe, the PAL regions, and Japan. So there's a fully localized version of it available, but they never brought it over to America, and I think it was because it came out in 1995, and it's like that's a pretty old, like late in the SNES's life cycle, 5 years in.
Yeah.
So because it was such a late title, it uses the technology to like the peak that it can. It pushes that system to its freaking limits. But people were already getting into 3D games by that point. 32-bit gaming had happened. The 32X had come out. This, the Jaguar and the 3DO and shit. These were all things that were happening at this point. Oh god,
not the Jaguar.
I know, but 32-bit graphics, right? And
look at that controller and tell me you want to play that. Anyway,
I can only think of I think the Duke may be the only other controller that's bigger and chunkier and more awkward.
Yeah, but at least the Duke makes sense.
Well, yeah, exactly. The Duke may weigh 20 pounds, but at least it's a practical
I know what button controller. I'm pressing. Like,
it doesn't have a fucking number pad on it.
Yeah, anyway. A fucking horrible decision. Jaguar.
The stupid Jaguar.
That's why Jaguar 2 doesn't
exist. The
exist.
N64 came out around that time, and then it was just like...
Yeah, what's the point?
What's the point? That's going to be the killer app. So they never put out Terranigma in North America, but if you can play it, either by importing it or, going to less than legal means, which is how I played it, play it, because that's
probably what we'll do, honestly.
one of the single best RPGs for the system, one of the single best action RPGs for the system, and an incredible kind of God Sim elements to it really bring that game to life. It's a very good game. Also, the main character is not a silent protagonist. His name is Ark. He's kind of a little bastard, and maybe the least qualified person to be doing what he's doing.
Amazing.
Because he's a bit of a piece of shit, and he has a lot of sass. He's rude to everybody,
I love
but he's
him
very
already.
he's very internally motivated, and you see him grow as a person throughout the game from being kind of like a I do not give a shit about other people to other people rely on me so much I have to care about them.
Yeah.
And it's really good. So yeah, Terranigma, 1995, developed by Quintet. Play any game that Quintet worked on in the SNES, even ActRaiser 2, if just to
No.
compare it to the first,
No.
is worth at least taking a look at.
You
But
can skip it.
the Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terranigma, in my opinion, that is Quintet's legacy on the SNES. Because
Fair
those
enough.
three games are like just they're it's all like working up to Terranigma. Terranigma is the culmination of everything they learned as a development studio on the SNES developing RPGs up to that point. It's a very, very impressive game. So yeah, I'm glad that you played ActRaiser because what a fucking cool game. Was that your first time playing it?
Yeah, I didn't even know it existed. And It was
Wow.
like, I remember my mom rented this and beat it, and like it seemed pretty cool. And I was like, okay.
It's really, really
And
good.
like I was 5 minutes in. I like at first I was kind of like, all right, yeah, 2D side scrolling. It's old. It feels all right. The
You can
hitboxes
play it
are
on the
weird, but-
SNES emulator on the Switch, the one that comes for free with Nintendo Online. So I recommend if
can
you
you?
can play ActRaiser there, you can play that. Yeah, do it. And
you?
ActRaiser 2 as well.
Really.
Yeah, they're two of the
'cause-
games on there.
I had the Switch thing for a bit because my partner's friend let us borrow it. Right. I don't recall it being on there.
I'm pretty sure ActRaiser 1 is on there. I know ActRaiser 2 is definitely on there because that's the only time I've ever played ActRaiser 2 and it sucks.
Yeah, it's bad. Don't play it.
Yeah.
Play
But
ActRaiser
yeah,
1.
Unfortunately, Quintet shut down in 2008.
That makes sense.
Which is pretty depressing. But they're a very, very good company. They make a lot of really good games. They made a beat 'em up game called Mystic Heroes with Koei for the PlayStation 2, which is like a weird Dynasty Warriors kind of Musou game, but it's like it was a multi-platform thing, and they even had like a GBA port, and the GBA port's like weirdly interesting. It's not good, but it's weird, and it's kind of ambitious. But they made a bunch of games for the PlayStation as well. They made some games for the Saturn. Of course they worked a little bit on Shenmue as supporting development. They made Godzilla Generations Maximum Impact for the Dreamcast, which is kind of like a pretty good Godzilla game, but it's like one of the weird ones that's kind of like a Godzilla sim. It's not a fighting game. So they did
Weird.
make that, but yeah, they also made it. The last game that they made of note actually here is an Inuyasha game, which seems like the most mediocre Inuyasha RPG.
Is it the fighting? Oh, okay, it's an RPG.
No, it's an
I was gonna
RPG.
say, is
It's
this the
called
fucking fighting
Inuyasha
game?
the
'Cause
Cursed
that game
Mask.
Sucks.
But it kind of looks like it. It's just like a shitty isekai.
Yeah, they got a
RPG.
contract and they're like, we need money, please.
Yeah, it looks
Um,
kind of bad.
I'm
And then
gonna
they did
go-
a game called Onslaught for WiiWare, which was developed by Shade, but Shade is basically Quintet.
Yeah.
And it was published by Hudson for WiiWare. It's kind of like an FPS game. It doesn't look like it was very good. Oh no, wait. Oh, okay. Well, apparently it has a 9 out of 10 and a 79%. So it
I don't
the
trust that shit.
The multiplayer is good, but the single player is dull. Okay,
That makes
interesting.
sense. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick and
All right.
we'll-
And when we take a break, we'll come back. We'll talk about some of the news that happened.
yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. It has been an interesting news week. The last
It's
couple
been
days,
a news
at least.
week that
There have
makes
been-
you
there have
want to
been some-
start with a good ice cold beer.
Oh yeah, it's a beer day today. I mean, I drank so much wine over the weekend. I was very hungover the next day.
Yeah, I wanted to do a podcast. I think it was Monday night.
Yeah, Monday night. I was just like, no,
Yeah,
I'm too
you're like, no,
hungover.
I'm dead. I was like, okay.
My weekend now is Monday Sunday or Sunday Monday. So because I started working Saturdays again.
Sunday
So
is
when it- so-
partying.
Sunday I partied and I got very, very drunk.
That happens.
I was wasted by like 9 p.m. But
No.
we had a good time. We polished off 2 whole bottles of wine and some malt liquors. But
Is that the,
yeah.
Bill and Ted night?
No, it was not. That was just a party hardy and listen to music with the buddies night. That was pretty
fair
good
enough.
though. We just listened to some Spotify playlists that we had made. It was fun.
Shit.
So yeah, it's been a pretty interesting news week. I guess first order of business. Happy 5th anniversary on Undertale.
Yes.
Uh,
Despite all this, you're still one of the most popular RPGs.
Yeah, in spite of everything, I still love it. It's a really, really good game. If you have not played Undertale yet, if you've been hesitant to play because of the fandom, please just like try in your heart of hearts to forget that the Undertale fandom exists as it does, and just sit down and enjoy it and allow yourself to enjoy it. Because
Alternate
it is
suggestion. If you want to play Undertale but you're iffy about it, go play Deltarune.
Yeah, honestly,
it is free.
Yeah, Deltarune Chapter 1 is free, and it will give you a taste for whether or not you want to play Undertale.
And as someone who didn't play Undertale before they played Deltarune, I was avoiding it, especially because of the fandom. Like, I just was like, I don't want anything. You know, it's probably a good game, but meh. And then I played Deltarune, and I was like, I'll play Undertale. I'll do it.
And then you played Undertale, and you're like, yeah, this is special.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but I get it to a point.
I think you get it enough. I don't get why so many people are like weird about it on the internet.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
I played it and I'm like, oh, I understand why people think this is good and special, because it is.
It is good and special.
Yeah, it's good and special, and
friendship, maybe.
Yeah, well, I think it's
murder.
It's a story about the importance of empathy.
Yeah,
and it's a story about a story about being conscious of who you are and how you treat others.
Yeah.
And I
Which
think
is very
that's
important.
It's a really good message for an RPG. And it's just a fun, goofy game with a lot of personality. It's very simple, but it's visually beautiful, and it's got a lot of character.
That's the thing. Aside from obviously the music, which even before I had played it, I was like, I don't want nothing to do with this, but goddamn, this music goes hard.
Yeah, the soundtrack is amazing.
But the characters are all kooky, zany, very fun and lovable characters.
Yeah, they have such strongly
oozing with
personalities. Yeah, and you really come to love a lot of them. And if you end up doing the final run of the game as a genocide run, it becomes very hard.
It gets really hard.
It gets very upsetting.
It's soul-crushingly hard because you're like, I'm doing this because this is the genocide run, but I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, and I love its innovative battle system because it mixes kind of like Castle of Shikigami style shmup kind of gameplay with like a traditional kind of forward-facing like Dragon Quest or Mother style RPG.
Yeah,
probably more Mother if anything, but Mother is very Dragon Quest.
Yes.
But like that kind of fun, interesting kind of RPG mechanics. But you can play through the entire game. You can play through the entire game without killing a single enemy, which is really cool because you have the talk mechanic, which is a very SMT kind of thing, where you can babble, you can talk your way out of a fight if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is really, really quite fun
and helpful, honestly.
Yeah, helpful.
Sometimes
like
it's easier.
You don't gain a lot of HP, like you don't level up.
You don't level, but
it doesn't matter because it's kind of one of the harder ways to play the game, really. Just because when you don't have a lot of health, there's not a lot of room for error, but it's fun. I really love Undertale, so happy 5 years. Deltarune would be a good taster if you haven't played it, and also Toby Fox says Chapter 2 of Deltarune is coming. It's on its way. He's working on it, and he's planned out the whole game already. So now it's just a matter of getting each individual chapter finished.
Yes. The only thing is play Chapter 1, obviously. But I think the next couple of chapters are going to be paid, which is super fair. They're not not going to be full price games, I don't think.
No, they're not going to be full price. I think
even Undertale is only $10, and for $10, that game is a beefy game.
Honestly, the idea of Undertale being $10 is
ludicrous.
Yeah, because it is so gargantuanly popular and it has so much like clout now culturally. Mm-hmm. It's kind of insane, but Toby Fox is a good guy.
Well, I mean, even the physical collector's edition were like $69, I think.
That's pretty reasonable, right?
Yeah, I don't think they happen anymore though. I think that was like a limited run thing or something, but like even that was like under 80, and you're like, wow.
Speaking of
Take notes, Nintendo.
Other cool small developers who make really interesting games, Frictional have announced that they're making a new Amnesia game. It's called Amnesia Rebirth, and
which I'm excited for.
Despite the title, isn't like a sequel or anything to The Dark Descent or A Machine for Pigs. It's not like a remake. It is its own third game. So I like that they're keeping the series an anthology.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been about a decade since Frictional kind of started making games, and they've only made Amnesia. Frictional have only made Amnesia, Amnesia 2, and Soma, which I have still not played, but I've heard is really, really good.
Soma is very good.
I believe you're the one who recommended Soma to me.
Yeah, Soma's super fun. Gameplay wise, I feel like at some point it just kind of falls flat, but story wise it makes you keep going. The story is pretty
That's
fun.
what I like about Amnesia 2 is I think Amnesia and Amnesia 2, I really like Amnesia 2.
My main problem with Amnesia 1 was atmospherically, the first part of the game, super strong. It's horrifying. It's genuinely a good horror game.
It's genuinely very scary, yeah.
And then you get a companion who's just kind of always talking with you.
Yeah, that kind of like leaves the fear a little to the side.
Yeah, that kind of ruined it. That's why I jokingly earlier said, "Wow, I hope it's a good Amnesia game." I do like the Amnesia games. It's just
I really like Amnesia 1 and 2.
I haven't played
as far as great horror games go. They're very effective.
They're very good. But again, yeah, it's just having the companion in Amnesia.
I'll always remember being pants shittingly scared, playing it in the dark at my friend's house. And yeah, we're playing the water segment.
God,
in the dark at my friend's house. I must have been about 15 or 16 years old. We're all sitting crowded around this little computer screen in this little like computer room, and it's pitch black. It's like, 9 p.m. or whatever. And his mother comes and opens the door, and I fucking jumped like 5 feet out of my seat because I was so engaged, and I was like, ah! And I screamed, and I was just like, that's how into it I was. Like, Amnesia is a very transportative experience.
I mean, that water section is fucking nightmarish.
It's scary as fuck. Yeah, it's quite freaky.
It's horrifying because the enemy is invisible. And basically you're hopping from box to box. But some boxes are too far away to hop onto. So you have to throw chunks of meat away from where you want to go and just kind of hope for the best. It's fucking horrifying.
So yeah, I'm really excited. I hope Amnesia Rebirth is good. It looks like it's got an interesting kind of setting. It seems like there's going to be a segment in a desert, which is a pretty unconventional setting for a horror game. You don't see a lot of horror games set in like the desert.
No, not at all.
I think that seems like it could be pretty cool. But yeah, here's to Amnesia Rebirth. I hope they make it good because I think Frictional have only gotten better since they started. I mean, Amnesia is a pretty strong debut game.
I mean,
but Amnesia 2, in my opinion, is better than the first game.
I haven't played Amnesia 2 just because Amnesia 1, I was kind of like, meh.
Amnesia 2 is kind of fucked, I'll be honest. I like how scary it is.
Oh, fair enough. I'll have to check it out then. Soma just goes cyberpunky, so I was obviously like, yes.
We're keeping that in.
Hell yeah, we are.
That was amazing. Oh my god.
I didn't even really mean to do that.
It was perfect. That was such like a deep guttural yes. With the addition of the burp, it was just like
that was a beer burp.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Anyway, but good job, Frictional.
Frictional made good shit. They've only ever gotten better, so I can imagine this Frictional who made Soma making an Amnesia. What a cool prospect. I hope it turns out good. So coming back around to something we talked about in the last episode,
this is where the alcohol needs to come
fucking Goofy Soft, Ubi shit, whatever you want to call them.
Here's our public apology that we revisited and made sure was super okay 50 times before publishing it because it came out like a week and a half after everything.
Yeah. So Yves Guillemot, Yves Guillemot, the fucking big cheese himself, at
the Ubisoft. Son of the owner, by the way, just saying.
Yeah, so nepotism. Fucking Yves Guillemot came out ahead of the Ubisoft Forward live stream and apologized to everybody who was hurt by the allegations and controversies and misconduct at the company.
We didn't know.
Yeah, and they said, we're apologizing to the victims, and we're going to be giving donations to various charitable funds. And they posted this kind of 4-minute video on their social media, kind of acknowledging the allegations, and they, I don't know, they had to get rid of a lot of big execs, which we spoke about.
Ubisoft
they are
prior
top
to this
top
wasn't
to bottom
doing very
kind of
good.
Top to bottom, they are fucked. Like, they have a really fucked structure, and all of the corporate higher-ups were, like, to some extent, if not fully, complicit.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's...
this misconduct and harassment.
I think I mentioned it when we talked about it. Yeah, I think I mentioned it when we talked about it 2 weeks ago? Yeah,
well I think we mentioned the Bloomberg article that came out that was detailing it. I believe it was Jason Schreier who wrote it. Yeah. But that Bloomberg article that Jason Schreier wrote really went deep into the idea that a lot of people working at the company were fully aware of the misconduct years and years in advance of this kind of reckoning that we've been going through in the industry.
Yeah.
And only now does Yves Guillemot officially address it, conveniently right before a big live stream kind of E3 type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was Gamescom, I think, right?
Yeah, Gamescom kind of deal. It was for Ubisoft Forward, and
oh god, yeah,
the optics on this are so fucking bad, and the apology itself is such a flaccid, phony, fucking piece of shit apology.
Just trying to save face.
They are truly only trying to save face and trying to cover their ass.
It's Ubisoft. It's we're gonna play both sides of the teams. That way we're on top. No,
exactly.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yves Guillemot going, I am truly sorry to everyone that was hurt. And I'm just like, you're a fucking liar, dude. You're a fucking liar. Fully supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. Yes, this is why you made that fucking Tom Clancy game.
This is why you
fully in support of Black Lives Matter.
Fucking, anyway.
Yeah, it's there's nothing more to be said, honestly, except you guys are fucking stupid, and they keep fucking up, and because of this, it really put a damper on some of the games coming out of that Ubisoft Forward announcement, because honestly, some of the shit they announced is very exciting, but as somebody who no longer wants to financially support Ubisoft, I'm not even going to bother looking at a lot of these.
You know you fucked up when you have to bring Scott Pilgrim the game back.
Yeah, so, I mean... Scott Pilgrim is coming back, and it's something people have wanted for years, ever since it was delisted from online stores.
For the reason, let me.
And now it's a multi-platform complete edition.
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta check my notes for why they took it off. Cause fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. They did it. I think because the limited run of the movie failed, and the limited run of the game, I guess, the scarcity of it made its legacy a lot more better. But honestly, Brian Lee O'Malley was I think pretty happy to have it back.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, the fact that Ubisoft has been going through all this bullshit, a lot of people in the industry have, but Ubisoft is one of the companies hit the strongest by it.
Oh, yeah,
it really doesn't make me want to fucking engage with this game, as much as I know it's a special game and it's a game that deserves to be played.
Yeah, I never actually even got the chance to play it, because
I've literally played it once, and you know what? I thought it was really fun. It was a good River City type game.
Yeah, it looks like a good River City, and
the art is beautiful. The music by Anamanaguchi is great.
Yeah, it's great. And then there's the fact that it is also filled to burst with game references that make you go,
yeah,
I remember that.
almost as rich and meta-referential as the comic. And the fact that it has the art style of the comic is so appealing to me.
Yes.
So they really did a good job with it, and now I'm just I can't in good faith support this. And it's coming multi-platform. It's going to be multi-platform, and I don't want to play it.
My argument here is we live in a world where River City Girls exists now. Do we really need this anymore? Probably. It would be a fun experience.
It would be a fun experience,
it's developed by Ubisoft.
Exactly. So. It's not worth it for the baggage of supporting Ubisoft. I don't want to give my money to Ubisoft anymore.
I'll pirate it.
Yeah, honestly, as much as I don't want to pirate it, because I think the people who made this game deserve at least my a purchase of it.
Yeah.
Ubisoft themselves have ruined this for me, so it sucks. They also had another game coming out that I was kind of excited for called Gods and Monsters, which has now had its
so good.
It had its name changed to like Immortals Phoenix Rising or something like that.
It's so bad. Just either call it Immortals or Phoenix Rising.
Well, the reason they changed the name, funnily enough, is because fucking Monster Energy Drink got on their ass about it, apparently.
What?
Because they were... Yeah, I know. Because Monster Energy Drink has, like, such a huge presence at, like, a lot of gaming-related things. And they were like, we don't want any unintentional confusion between your game, which has the word monster in it.
It's called God and Monsters, not God.
It's really... I know.
People are going to show up there and be like, oh, I thought we were going to be fighting giant cans of Monster.
I think it's fucking stupid. But God. The new title, Immortals Phoenix Rising, is very stupid. The way they write Phoenix is kind of dumb.
Anyone who thinks that capitalism or video games would not exist without capitalism is a fucking moron. Video games suck because of capitalism.
Video games exist in spite of capitalism.
God damn.
And
not
capitalism
all of them. Some of them are
is the
like
reason
actually
that the games
literally
industry
ruined
sucks.
by Look at EA.
Look at EA. Look at Ubisoft.
Everyone complains about microtransactions and shit, but where do you think that shit comes from? It's fucking anyway. Whatever.
Yeah.
We can do a bonus round on why video games are political.
We could honestly do that. And why capitalism is the worst thing for games, honestly.
Yeah.
But so this is kind of a stupid name change, but the game looks really impressive. It's basically Breath of the Wild mixed with Greek mythology, which is right up my fucking alley, and a little bit of Monster Hunter in there too. And I'm a big fan of all of those things. I love all those things, and I would like for these things to be in a game that I could buy with good faith, but I can't because it's fucking Ubisoft. I guess the last kind of thing I wanted to talk about was a couple of Nintendo related announcements.
Yes, one of which is stupid as fuck, which I think actually ties really good into A, the capitalism thing, and B, the why the fuck are you unlisting this? Because fuck you.
Yeah, we're gonna start with the good announcement because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
This is the new Hyrule Warriors game.
Yes,
Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. It is Breath of the Wild Hyrule Warriors. It takes place
100
years before the story of Breath of the Wild, and allows you to play as all those really fucking cool characters.
Yes,
I can play as Urbosa. I'm in.
Yeah, young Urbosa.
I want to play as Urbosa. Let me play as her. I want to play as the big Goron guy. I want to play as the cute little Zora girl. I want to play as all of them.
Isn't one of the tree guys there too? The leaf face?
No, it's the bird guy.
It's the bird guy? No, isn't there...
Oh, there's a big Goron. There's a Goron. There's a big Goron.
Yeah, I might be anyway, whatever.
But anyway, it's a new Hyrule Warriors game. I really liked the first Hyrule Warriors. It's maybe my favorite Musou game. So
Hyrule Warriors was actually very strong. I actually got to play it a bit when my partner's friend let us borrow the Switch. It's fun.
I need to get Hyrule Warriors on the Switch because I only have it on 3DS, and I like the 3DS version. It's actually a pretty good port that is not compromised at all.
Isn't Linkle? That's the only place where you can play
Linkle is exclusive to Hyrule Warriors on the...
Fucked up. DS. Bring Linkle back.
The 3DS port of Hyrule Warriors, very good, non-compromised port. Runs like smooth as butter on the new 3DS.
Yeah, apparently they did an amazing job with that.
Yeah, they did do a very good job. I love that game. But I would like to have it on my big screen, so I'm thinking of maybe dipping in and trying to get a copy of the original on the Switch. But at any rate, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity... kind of the best thing that they could have possibly done, because the first game is such like a comprehensive take on like the Legend of Zelda that apart from Breath of the Wild is like apart from being untouched by elements of Breath of the Wild is like a fully comprehensive Zelda feeling game. So the fact that they're making this one just Breath of the Wild focused is smart because it's the only thing that they didn't do yet.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for it. I hope it's great because the trailer is great. It has a lot of the added mechanics of Breath of the Wild, like the cooking and the stamina bar all kind of in there. And it has like the beautiful map and visuals of Breath of the Wild. Like it looks exactly like Breath of the Wild. And unlike the first one, they actually worked really closely with the Breath of the Wild development team to really nail the look of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So and it really does properly. Like when I saw it... When I saw it going, I thought it was Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine, too, lore-wise. Like, I don't know much about Breath of the Wild. I only played maybe, 30 minutes of it, because it's not a game...
It's a game you have to spend a lot of time with.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. And my partner's friend lent us a Switch for a limited time, and I didn't
all these games.
Yeah, I didn't even boot it up when she let us borrow it because I was like, I know this is an investment and I know I will not have time to commit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll play Animal Crossing.
It is a game that you have to commit to.
Yeah, I'll play Mario Odyssey. But I can only imagine, like, if there's any unanswered questions or weird things that you're like, why in Breath of the Wild that they'll be answered here a little bit?
Probably, yeah. Like some little minor story details and stuff that they could fill in.
Weird loose threads or like...
A lot of... what I'm most excited for is to see the character interactions.
Yeah.
Because you get a lot of those characters throughout the game in little bits and pieces, but you never really get a full picture of what they were like as like a unit and what they were like as a team. And that's what I'm very excited for. They look like they're going to be a lot of fun. And the fact that I get to play as Urbosa is like... Thank you for the food. Thank you for the food,
yeah.
Koei.
Everyone was super hype about Urbosa. On my timeline, anyway, I mean.
Same here. I mean, like, I think everybody loves her, though, because she's just cool, and she's the nice big mom who is strong and can beat the shit out of people. I mean, if you like Nabooru, you like Urbosa, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm super into Age of Calamity. I hope it's good, and I can't wait to play it. It's also coming super soon. It's coming out in fucking November. They kept that under wraps. I don't think anybody even leaked that.
No, there was no leaks on that, but Nintendo's pretty good for that shit.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm really excited they're porting is Super Mario 3D World, which is a really great game that was locked onto the Wii U.
Yeah.
So they're finally bringing it over, and I'm excited. I couldn't be happier. It runs even faster than the original, which is great because that game is already pretty buttery smooth.
Yeah.
And they're adding a little extra thing called Bowser's Fury, which seems like it's a little DLC pack that they're adding. But maybe it might be a boss rush. It might just be kind of a new set of levels, which is crazy because that game already has like a Star Road and everything. Like it's got a lot of bonus levels, and that Star Road final road at the end of Mario 3D World is maybe one of the craziest platforming challenges I've ever seen in a 3D platforming game.
Fair enough.
So
that's another one that went under my radar for when I had a 3DS. I need to get a 3DS again.
Mario 3D Land is a pretty good taster for 3D World, but 3D World that's where it's at, man. That game is amazing. So I'm happy it's no longer going to be locked to the fucking Wii U.
Yeah.
Now
weird that they didn't add this into the 3D pack.
Well, you know what? Actually, I'm not too plussed about that because it's a pretty different game from those other ones.
Fair enough. Weird that they didn't add Galaxy 2 to this pack, though.
Yes, so the Super Mario 3D All-Stars is a remaster collection that's launching on if it says here, the 18th. So September 18th, it's coming out on Switch. You can buy it digitally or physically. And
you better hurry the fuck up, though.
You better hurry the fuck up, because it will be gone by March 31st. Both digitally and physically.
And if you want to pay a good price for it, buy it now, because if not, you're going to be paying upwards of, like, probably $300, some shit.
Scalpers. Now, I'm torn on whether or not I want to get it, because on one hand, I do like these games, and I do think it would be convenient for me to be able to play Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy, all touched up like HD little remasters. They look pretty good on my Switch. I can play these games portably. That sounds wonderful.
This would be the optimal way to play these fucking games.
I think this is such an anti-consumer move on part of Nintendo that I almost don't want to buy it because of that. I think this is a really shitty thing for them to do. They did it with Mario All-Stars on the Wii, the Mario All-Stars 25th Anniversary Collection, which I'm very fortunate to have because it's a really nice port of that game, and it came with a cool little bonus book, and it's a nice port.
But it's just such a marketing baffling weird decision because like someone in my position where I'm definitely going to get a Switch, right? Like,
but you don't know when.
But I don't have one right now. And now, this is definitely a game that I would be like, hell yeah, I'm buying this. This is three of the definitive Mario games.
It's not even like a big file size. It's like 4 gigs, so it doesn't even take up a lot of space on the Switch.
Mario 64 is one of my favorite Mario games. Next to like
talked
Odyssey.
all about that, yeah.
I haven't really played Sunshine at all.
You know how I feel about Sunshine. I fucking did some shit with the
like,
GameCube pod about that. I love Sunshine. It's one of my favorite games.
The GameCube boys have nothing but praise, so I can only assume that it's an okay game, and they willed this into existence. Like,
yeah, they did in fact will this into existence.
They made this game exist, so
it is not a coincidence that just like a week after that episode came out, they announced this.
Yeah, they beat up Miyamoto and said, "Put it on."
Put it on, and he did.
And then Miyamoto said,
yes.
"Okay, but fuck you."
But fuck you. And then Galaxy is a great game. I would love to replay Galaxy.
Exactly. I played.
Why are they not putting Galaxy 2? I have no fucking clue.
It doesn't exist. It's not real. It
Galaxy
was a delusion. It was
Galaxy
a collective
2,
delusion.
from what I've heard, because I can't say I've played it, I actually haven't. From what I understand, is a really great game, and it's almost better than the first.
Oh no, it is better than the first. It's a collective delusion.
I love the first. I think the first is a great game.
No, see, what happened with Mario Galaxy 2 is everyone did a lot of acid and then played Mario Galaxy 1 and just thought it was Mario Galaxy 2.
That seems to be the case because Nintendo seems to act like that's what happened.
It's not real.
But Mario Galaxy 2 is really good, so it's kind of a pity it's not coming here. And
unless they do like an HD
I think
remake
that was a really
apart,
bad move.
It's a really weird.
But even that would be
move.
like a fairly anti-consumer thing to do.
Exactly. Because this would be a really good 4-pack, especially if you had it available at all times. Because it's a file that you download from the air.
I feel like a limited run for a physical copy would be acceptable if the digital copy could remain.
Yeah, but the fact that they're taking both off is mind-boggling.
That is
and just
really disappointing. And if anything, it's very reminiscent of Disney's practices.
Yeah, with the Disney's
Vault. Very anti-consumer practices from like the late 80s, early 90s with the Disney Vault, where like they would release videotapes that were overpriced, like clamshell videotapes that everybody has, and people would rush to get them because they would be going back into the Disney Vault after a certain period, so get them while they're hot.
It's Amiibos for North America all over again.
It is,
Amiibos
it's
in
just
North America.
Another thing of Nintendo gatekeeping their products from people who can't immediately afford to have access to them up to a certain point, and blocking certain people from being able to play their games. I think that's a really, really shitty thing to do.
We can also argue that literally all three of these games essentially for like younger generations are inaccessible or like just like why the fuck would a
kid who's 8 years old now?
Yeah, a non-collector.
How was an 8-year-old? Yeah, how does an 8-year-old play Mario Sunshine or Mario 64?
Go buy a GameCube. Oh, they don't make them anymore? Go pay $60 at a pawn shop for one that might work okay. And then find a copy of Mario Sunshine, which is going to be a full price game at this point, right? I think Mario Sunshine goes for like $80 now. So go fuck yourself, 8-year-old
That's honestly pretty fucking heinous. And I'm disappointed that Nintendo continues to do shit like this, even after being shown time and again that it is like an ineffectual and kind of shitty anti-consumer tactic that simply gatekeeps people from being able to play their shit.
And it's so weird because this would be the best way to make a dick ton of money. Just keep it on the store, because what's going to happen is now actually most of the money is not going to go to Nintendo. It's going to go to the scalpers that buy this in bulk, just like the mini SNES. Just like the mini NES.
The mini NES, same thing.
Just like the Amiibos in North America.
Just like the Amiibos, just like the original Mario All-Stars 25th Anniversary Edition.
In Europe, that was the wildest thing to me, though, was when I found out that in Europe, Amiibos are like stock full on shelves.
Yeah, it's always North America that suffers the most in this. Because North America is Nintendo's biggest outside of Japan market, and they know it. Because Nintendo doesn't have as much clout in Europe, which is primarily because they never had a huge hold over there, like even in the early days of
it. Almost makes you wonder if Nintendo hires people to scalp shit here and takes a cut of the scalp money.
The forced scarcity seems nearly intentional on their part.
Yeah. I mean, even the Wii, right? There was when the Wii came out, that shit was impossible to get, to the point where a lady drowned herself on a radio competition to win one.
Yeah, which
like
is
legit
really,
died, and you're like,
really
what the
awful.
fuck, man?
Yeah. So I I can't support Nintendo making anti-consumer decisions like this. I think it's rather disappointing that they're still on this shit. This is all for the celebration of Mario's 35th anniversary, and it really makes Nintendo look like a bunch of cheap bastards.
Yeah.
It really it takes away the attention from this very impressive and important milestone in gaming, that like Super Mario, the character who is like synonymous with gaming. He is like the Mickey Mouse of gaming. He is Mr. fucking video games.
Well, which is why it's so clear
the fact that his 35th
too.
anniversary is being gatekept like this from so many people is so disappointing.
Meanwhile, you have Sonic, which is basically an open source IP at this point.
Yeah, people can freely make Sonic.
There's a
games,
Sonic
and they even
fighting
have Sonic.
game. There's a Sonic fighting game that I'm actually gonna check out on the stream.
There's also that amazing Sonic fan game that kind of looks like Sonic Extreme.
Yeah.
That is like beautiful, and like it's one of those things where it's like, that if the game turns out okay, Sega might just officially license it and put it out.
Yeah, and most
like,
of the time the fan games are actually better than actual like Sega Sonic Team games.
I mean, but evidenced by the fact that they got a bunch of people who used to make Sonic fan games to make Sonic Mania, which is now considered by many to be pretty much the best game in the series.
Who did the animation for that again? Tyson.
Yeah. Tyson Hess did the animation.
Nipples the Echidna.
Nipples the enchilada.
No, Nipples the enchilada, yeah.
And Tyson Hess, he's writing Sonic comics and shit now.
Like officially. Because he was doing officially. Sonic comics before.
Yeah, which were really fun.
They were great.
But yeah, the fact that Nintendo insists on being this way still is really disappointing, and it puts kind of a dark shadow of shame over what should be a pretty joyous celebration in gaming. What should be maybe like just a little bit of light at the end of 2020.
Yeah,
makes it look a little shitty and murky, and
exactly,
that sucks.
This
it's some
is a
shady
game
shit
that I will never be able to own, despite the fact that I have 2 copies of Mario 64.
And that's not even talking about how like that Mario 35th anniversary Game & Watch, which looks really cool and I would love to have, is definitely just going to be like poof, gone in a second, and I'm never going to get a chance to get it.
Yeah. Also,
I love a Game & Watch. I would like to own a Game & Watch thing, and the fact that I could play the original Mario Brothers on it would be fucking cool. Yeah. But I'm never going to get my hands on that. Nope. Because I know how Nintendo is. And the scarcity of the item that they're going to create, poof, it'll be gone. It's low production run, goodbye, no chance.
The only thing more baffling that happened this year was the SNK mini things, where...
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it, but SNK made a bunch of mini fucking... Neo Geo Pockets, I guess.
Yeah, they were Neo Geo Pockets, and they just made them like, this one is the RPG one.
Yeah,
this one is like the Samurai Showdown one. This one's the
like
King of Fighters one.
4 or 5 different colors, and every color has
two games. Selection of different two games. Yeah,
and you're like, they're $80 each.
Sega's kind of doing that too with the mini Game Gears.
Oh yeah, the mini Game Gear thing,
which are also kind of a bastard move, because it's like, if you want the RPG ones, you get this one. If you want the Sonic one, you only get the Sonic games. And
yeah, like, it's so.
Firstly, don't play the Sonic games on Game Gear anyway. They're not as good as the Master System versions. Yeah. The Master System versions of those games are the better versions. But except for Sonic Triple Trouble, that's good. But just buy Sonic Gems Collection for cheap on GameCube and play it there.
Yeah, because you have.
I like Triple Trouble. I'll just play that. But it's.
What about the Mean Bean Machine?
I fucking love that game.
It's so
but it's a really disappointing thing that they're doing, and fucking sucks, guys. I really love Mario, and I would love to play these games, and maybe I will get that 3D thing at some point. But this whole anti-consumer thing that they're doing, it's really just not.
Yeah.
Not fucking cool, guys. Just not fucking cool.
Me, you, and the GameCube boys are gonna have to take a trip to Nintendo headquarters and
bust some fucking heads. Doug Bowser, fucking get over here.
I don't think this was a Doug Bowser decision.
No, it certainly was. This is Nintendo of Japan doing this for sure. Yeah. It's just
it's baffling. Honestly, it makes
it makes no fucking sense.
Especially in this day.
Anti-consumer is the best word for it, because this literally advantages nobody and makes you guys look like a bunch of dicks.
Do you want to play this game? Yeah. Do you own a Switch right now? No. Are you going to own a Switch before March and have enough money to buy a full price game? No. Fuck you.
It's like, it really is a big fuck you.
Shut up. Fuck you.
It is a huge go fuck yourself on their part. So fuck you, Nintendo. Like, honestly,
from a company that is so especially from a company that's so anti-emulation and shit. Like, I think if anyone wants to play this, and once the Switch emulator happens, you will be fully justified.
This is why
in the
everybody who is getting mad about like the fucking how do I call it, like how do I even describe it? The giant leak, that big leak that happened.
The leak?
Right? Remember the huge leak that happened a month ago of all those SNES things?
Oh yeah,
and a lot of people were getting mad
Nintendo,
over them because it's like, oh, this is really bad. You shouldn't be leaking like documents and
where you have the unbit crushed file where you can clearly hear Mario say, "So long, gay Bowser."
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's "So long, gay Bowser." That's Brooklyn Mario from the TV show saying that. So long, gay Bowser.
Fuck you, Luigi.
Hey, Luigi, Bowser, he's gay.
Hey, Luigi, Mario, you got some spaghetti on your overalls. Fuck you, funny. Luigi.
Super Mario Brothers Super Show is cracked out. I love it.
I think we already used that voice clip, but
I think we might have. If you go to hell before you die, that one.
Yeah. Like, oh man.
But that's like, it's all the people getting mad over that big leak, and we're like, no, you shouldn't be leaking Nintendo's internal documents. It's very bad form, and will make Nintendo crack down harder. And I'm just like,
company.
Fuck Nintendo. Nintendo's. I like, as much as I love a lot of the things Nintendo do, I love a lot of the games they make out. I love a lot of the consoles they've made. I have, obviously, there's a part of me that loves Nintendo, but there's a part of me that also believes that games are a proletarian realm, and that people should take ownership of the video games industry. You should not let the industry and huge corporations control it and say what you can and cannot play, and when you can and cannot play it.
In case you couldn't already tell, this is an anti-capitalist podcast. I don't know how long you've been listening. Hello, new people. If you didn't get it before.
This really circles back around to just capitalism is bad for games.
Exactly, yes.
The games industry overall
has
producing as much like art of merit as it has up to this point. It has only done so in spite of capitalism, not because of it. Because of capitalism, Nintendo does shit like this. Because of capitalism, people do not get to play these games. People do not have access to these games.
We're in a good basic income economy. Yeah. These games would exist, and you wouldn't really have to pay for them at all, because people are making them because, hey, we want to make a fun, good video game, and we don't have to worry about paying rent and dying. They can make a living
doing it. Yeah. Anyway. So this is, it puts a bit of a damper on the 35th anniversary of Mario, and it makes me kind of upset. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to buy it as much as I would like to. There's a part of me that really, in protest, wants to refuse. But
yeah, and like even my friend was like, my friend was like, also like, this is fucked up, but I'm just gonna make an account online, buy the game, and download it to a Switch once I get it. And I was like, that's stupid that you have to do that. That's fucking dumb.
That's really
like, that's just, it doesn't
just
make
to show
any sense.
The extent to which you have to go to gain access to this game if you do not have a Switch. That's really bad.
Yeah.
So I guess, sorry to end it on such a sour note, I suppose, but
it happens.
we're kind of running short on time, and Ben's got to hit a stream, and I've got to call my grandmother because it is her birthday. But
happy birthday!
Happy birthday to my granny. She is 85 years old. But I've been Ryan. You can find me online, mostly on Twitter at Nouveau Art Punk. I'm also on Instagram at Nouveau Art Punk. If you can hit me up on Letterboxd, you can see some of the movies I write about that I talk about on here. That I watch. I watch a lot of movies and TV. If I can write about it, I write about it there. I just wrote a little thing about Trigun the other day because I watched an episode of Trigun, and it made me realize why it's one of my favorite things ever again.
Trigun's so good.
Fucking love Trigun. So yeah, if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, you can hit me up there. Just same thing at Nouveau Art Punk. Ben, where can everybody find you?
I'm Scratch Me Silly on everything. I stream Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Yeah, Fridays.
Yeah.
Tonight I am checking out the new Lauren character in Battle for the Grid.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun. I cannot wait to play her tomorrow.
Also, there's a Halloween demo game that came out, which looks like a character action game where you play as a what's it called? It's called Pumpkin Jack, I think. So I'm going to be checking that out. You can find that on YouTube, also at Scratch Me Silly. Scratch Me Silly everywhere. Twitty.
Twitty on
Welcome
Twitty.
to Twitty. Twitter, Instagram.
Hi, welcome to Twitty.
Fucking like everywhere. That's what it is.
right.
Today we're Tuesday, so if you're listening to this on whenever the day of the episode comes out tonight, I will not be streaming. Unless it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday. Then I will be, but it's going to be a different thing. Yeah.
All right, that sounds pretty good. So, yeah, thank you, everybody, for listening. Sorry for being such a downer towards the end there, but I think it's important to talk about shit like that. Hope you guys have a good evening. Remember to wear your masks and shit when you go out, if you have to go out, and to mostly stay in. Order from a restaurant instead of going out to one, and maintain social distancing protocol.
And remember, fuck you, Luigi.
Fuck you, Luigi.
So long, Bowser!